Good morning, good afternoon, and good day wherever you may be joining us from. And welcome to another edition of the Digital Download, which is the
The
longest running weekly
weekly
business talk show on LinkedIn Live, now globally syndicated on the IBGN radio network.
Indeed.
We might have to drop you guys from this, I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, you always say it, so we'll just let you say it.
All right. Today, we're dispelling the myth of the non-stop work week. We have a special guest, Tracy Birmingham, to help us with the discussion. Tracy's unique approach has transformed chaotic business environments into well-oiled machines, enabling business leaders to reclaim their time and scale their operations. But before we bring Tracy on, let's go around and introduce everyone. While we're doing that, why don't you in the audience reach out to a friend, ping them, and have them join us? We strive to make the digital download an interactive experience. Audience participation is highly encouraged. Right. So with that, introductions. Adam, would you kick us off, please?
I'm only kidding. I'm not really on mute. But I just thought I was doing a call earlier today, and people were on mute all the time. And it's just, as Bertrand was there, he said, it's like the thing from the moment. Anyway, hi, everybody. I'm Adam Gray. I'm co-founder of DLA Ignite, and very much looking forward to this, particularly as we have a naming issue with this. So this should make things very entertaining for everyone.
It will be a fun day, that's for sure. Thank you. Bertrand.
Yeah, welcome everyone. My name is Bertrand Godillot. I am running a company called Odysseus & Co., which is a very proud DLA Ignite partner in France.
Excellent. Thank you very much. William.
Yes, hello everybody. So I'm William Shorten. I am an associate with DLA Ignite, and I also run my own coaching and training business, WSLS.
Excellent. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
T-Dog.
T-Dog. I was going to say, this is what I'm going to be known as today, everyone. T-Dog.
Today and forevermore.
And forevermore. The best thing about this is I have a burnt CD from high school that's called T-Dog. Classic mixed CD. Anyway.
There we go.
Tracy Borison, aka T-Dog, also a proud DLA Ignite partner representing the Canada arm with TLB Coaching and Events, where we care about marketing that is sustainable, scalable, and profitable. I practiced that one for you guys today. You like that one?
Excellent. Thank you very much. And myself, I'm Rob Durant, founder of Flywheel Results, a proud DLA Ignite. Well, yes, a proud DLA Ignite associate.
Oh, you guys also look what I got. Boo! Now
there we go.
The rest of the
and he's not here. He's not here.
Well, but it's because he's here. It's because he's here.
That's
he
right.
It for me.
As I said, this week on the Digital Download, we'll speak with Tracy Birmingham. With over 25 years experience in project management and business consulting, Tracy will debunk the myth that success only comes from relentless work by the business owner. Let's bring her on. Tracy,
Hello.
Good morning and welcome.
Thank you so much.
Tracy, let's start by having you tell us a little bit about you and how you got here.
Yeah, so like you said, I've been a project manager for 25 years. I grew up in San Diego. I lived in San Francisco for about 10 years, and I worked with corporate companies. So Visa, Charles Schwab, Del Monte Foods, The Gap, Banana Republic, Williams-Sonoma, kind of all of those big guys, and really helped to both launch products and services into the world. I probably launched about $1 billion worth of new products and services with these huge launches that we did. I also helped them to create efficiencies and create the systems that they're actually still using today in order to streamline everything. Our projects used to be 3 years, it would take 3 years to launch a new product with everything that we would do. It'd be a team of 50 plus all over the world, and creating the efficiencies to actually get that done on time, under budget, within scope was what I did and what I created. That being said, we moved. I have 4 little boys. And so when I got married, we moved to small town USA, where there was no need for corporate project management anywhere here. So I went virtual about 15 years ago, and I've been working with small businesses virtually. And what I realized when I went into these businesses to help them, and in a nutshell, I just get stuff done, right? Like that's kind of if you went to the very lowest base of what I do, it's I get stuff done. And so I go into these small businesses, and what I realized when I go in there is that they are, for lack of a better word, a lot of times a hot mess on the back end. They just, they're the business owners are working so hard, and they have the weight of the world on their shoulders, and they've got a team, but everybody's running everywhere. And all it is fire drills and bottlenecks and mistakes and, all of these things that are being made. And so what I realized over time, and what I do with my clients and the businesses that I work with, is I really just help to put the systems into place, and to put the structures into place, and to kind of create flow and efficiency, so that it just, when you don't have all the bottlenecks and all the mistakes and all the urgent matters, it's like everything just kind of frees up, and that weight of the world just kind of lifts off of your shoulders, and you can breathe and go take, like literally some of my clients, is like stopping at 5 o'clock in the evening to go, hang out with their kids or make dinner or whatever, is like a big deal, because they haven't done it for a decade or more. And so that's what I absolutely love to do. And it's in my mind, life-changing and absolutely necessary for every business owner.
Fantastic. I have a whole line of questions I wanted to take this in, but I heard you allude to something. I heard you allude to the triple constraints of project management. And what I've come to realize is that, 1, most people are not aware of it, and 2, it actually goes beyond the bounds of project management. So would you please share with the audience what is meant by the triple constraints of project management?
Yeah. So whenever you're doing a project, there's triple constraints. There's 3 things that you really need to focus on. You need to focus on your budget, right? You don't want your budget to and so with the triple constraints, why they're so important, kind of to start out,
Sure.
is because that is what's going to detail your success. Also, in any project, there's stuff that like when you start a project, you don't know what you don't know, right? And so you've got to get partway through, and it's like, we can't get to the goal with where we are right now. We're going to either have to add money in, we're going to have to add time in, or we're going to have to increase the scope of the project. And so by working with those 3 things, you're able to kind of manipulate those or play with those, but you want to create it so that you can always, I don't say always, a lot of times you can solve a problem by throwing more money at it. Right? Or if you have more time, or if you change the scope of the project. And so that's what it's meant by triple constraint, is those 3, you kind of play with those and manage those throughout the project, so that when you do hit the blocks along the way, that's how you play with them to manipulate everything to literally hit your deadline, make it a success. But you want to stay within the realm of, for example, your budget, right? Yes, you could throw money at it, but $1 million extra, is that really what we want to do here, right? And so it's really working with that within reasonable expectations for the project and what you set in order to succeed.
Right. And as I say, so many people I've spoken to do not realize that they are constrained by time, money, and scope. And when you increase any one of those, you're probably going to need to decrease something else,
right?
Because you are constrained there.
As the saying goes, good, cheap, fast, pick any 2.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
So my question to you, Tracy, is you streamline things, you push change through an organization for delivery of a project or an objective within the parameters that the organization has set. So do you ever go into an organization and they say, yeah, look, Tracy, what we're trying to do is we're trying to do this in this amount of time with this amount of budget, and you just go, well, because their grasp of reality and what's within their capability is so far away from what they're actually going to be able to do that you either you have to kind of drop the hammer and say this isn't going to happen, or you have to manage their expectations. Or are most people fairly realistic about what's achievable?
Most of the time. And I have to say, I feel like most of the time I'm the wet blanket, right? I'm the one that's saying, you actually can't do it the way you want it, but here's how we can do it, right? So there's always a path to success. Again, it's the constraints, right? Like maybe it's going to take you a little bit more time to get there. Maybe we need to change the scope. Maybe we can launch it in phases instead of everything all at once, right? Or maybe we need a new team member, or we need some outside help to come in, or something like that. So I think that I'm usually the one that tells them it's probably not going to work the way that you think it's going to work, right? Like that's a bit unrealistic, but here's what we can do. And so I think just for the most part, I think anything can get done if you break it up into, I call them baby steps, right? But just phases of just a lot of times we try to go for the big launch of massive, but if we broke it up into steps, we actually learn along the way. And so the massive actually becomes massive and much, again, you don't know what you don't know when you start, right? So if you break it up into phases, it makes it so that you learn along the way so that you actually succeed with that massive at the end once you get there.
We have a great comment from the audience, and it leads me to ask a follow-on question. Mark D. Hans says, I love the old agile mindset of flipping the triangle and fixing the time and budget to adjust the scope. Along those lines, Tracy, what are the first signs that a business needs to overhaul its operational system?
Usually what I see is it's the business owner they're stressed, they're overwhelmed, they're frustrated with their team. They haven't taken a vacation in 10 years. They work 80 hours a week. They wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning because there's so many things to do and there's so many things on their plate. And they actually, a lot of times will handle stuff themselves because their team, I'll just do it myself because I'll know it gets done right and it gets done easy, right? Like those are all signs that you're out of whack, right? And that you need to actually create the systems. You need to teach your team in an effective, efficient way. You need to learn how to delegate effectively and efficiently, right? All of those things that will help to free up your time. But when you do all of those things, the cool thing is it has this ripple effect into the rest of your organization. So all of a sudden your time is freed up. The quality of the work gets better because you're delegating efficiently. Your clients are happier because they're now getting what they need instead of you being the bottleneck and their things are delayed. Just cleaning up your onboarding will make a huge difference, or freeing up the delivery, or customer support questions. For as much as customer support, the complaints come in, they are every single time an opportunity to say, okay, so how could we fix this so we never get this question again, right? And you keep doing that over and over and over again, and it just ripples out into your entire organization. And then all of a sudden, everything is running so smoothly that now it's like, okay, well, I've got time. Let's go do some more sales and marketing up front to bring in another flood of clients. And so it just keeps going.
So is that the crux of this? That when something happens, you look at that event and you work out how you can bottle that to make sure that the solution you came up with or the success you had is something that can be replayed over and over and over again.
Yes.
I always think about when we all started using Microsoft Word and we were doing invoices. You would begin by using the space bar to move things over to the right hand side, and then eventually somebody would show you how to use the tab key, and then eventually somebody would show you how to use the tab key with set tabs or even a decimal tab to move it over to the right hand side. And each time it took you a moment to learn how to do it, but it saved you time every time you had to do that activity. So your comment about customer success or customer care, where someone phones up with a complaint or a query, you work out how you can stop them ever phoning again. I mean, in the UK, the way we normally stop people from phoning again is just by making the telephone system so difficult to use that
they can't.
But in an ideal world, you deal with the problem so that it never becomes a problem again.
Yes. And it's like that. Like, that's the thing, is the stuff that is the most painful for you to do, the stuff that just, right? Like, it just, whether it's team stuff, whether it's, I don't know, your billing, whether it's sending out invoices, right? All of those things, those are the things to clean up first, right? They're clues. Like, it's, I feel like it's the breadcrumbs, right? Like, it's so easy. Like, those are the things when I come into an organization, that's what I'm looking for. What are the things that are most painful? What's the that's the low hanging fruit. That's the things that literally we clean that up, you feel immediate relief. Things start moving immediately faster. And then we look for the next thing. What is the next thing that's a problem? What's the next thing that's an issue? What's painful? Let's clean that up, get to the root of it, clean it up. And we just keep going to where it just smooths everything out.
So, Tracy, I have a question about the mindsets here, because I feel like I'll call it common knowledge, although I don't know if I'd actually put it into the category of knowledge. But what people know as business owners is that they're supposed to work 80 hours a week. They're supposed to. And like, something I see a lot, especially in the like marketing coordinator arena, is that we hire people to work full time, but we have a whole bunch of stuff that they're doing that they really don't need to do. But I'm trying to give them 8 hours of work to do. So I need to give them things. And I think a lot of times these inefficiencies exist within that mindset. Like, I have to fill these hours. I'm an owner. I have to work 80 hours. If I'm not working 80 hours, I'm not building my business. So how important is the mindset as well as the systems that go with that?
It's massive. And I used to do that, right? Like, that was the mindset I had. And I think we've got this hustle culture these days where, and the problem is, right, we've got our computer in our hands, right? So we can be at our kids' soccer game, or, we're at the spa or out to dinner, and we can be checking our emails or texts or Slack or whatever is coming in. And so we're literally practically working 24/7. It does nobody any good, right? And I realized a few years ago, like, I just don't want to work that hard anymore, right? But the thing is, and I want to be exponential, right? I want both. And so I call it the and lifestyle, right? Like, I want unlimited time to myself. I want unlimited time with my family. I want unlimited time with my kids. I want to grow my business. I want unlimited time to do that because I absolutely love the challenge. I love doing business. I love everything about it. I love my clients. I want the and lifestyle. I want it all. And in order to do that, I need to be able to create efficiencies and flow within my own life and my own business in order to do that. But it's not common mindset by any means, right? Like, it is, you're supposed to work hard. And I don't even think work hard is the right, I don't want to work hard. I don't want to do things I'm miserable at. I want to do things I want to do the things that I'm gifted at and that I'm good at, or the things that I want to improve on. And I want someone else in my team to come in, and the things that they're gifted at and they're good at, that's what I want them to be doing also. Right? That's the kind of culture that I create within my businesses, is that I want everybody to be loving what they're doing. And so sometimes, like, literally my team will switch around jobs because it's somebody's learning social media. Okay, come on in. Let's play with it and see what you got. And I think that the energy, the experience, the knowledge, the joy of being able to kind of ebb and flow in our life, in our business, and everything that we do is just so important. And it just makes it so that, like, scaling, I always say scaling just comes naturally when you do that, because you're taking a vacation and you're walking on the beach and you're like, oh, I have an amazing idea for a new income stream or a new program or a new, if I tweaked that, I could actually add this in. I see it all the time. And it's like, as soon as we get all the busy work or the painful work, the stuff that we're doing to keep ourselves busy all the time, once we clean that up, then you actually have the freedom to go create and to go build and to go scale and do it in an efficient way, right? So then we're not scaling to just add more onto your calendar and onto your plate. We're actually scaling in an efficient manner so that you're adding that extra layer of income or time or freedom or whatever that is. And we're doing it in a strategic manner. Right?
It's a bit glib to use the phrase, but I mean, what I'm hearing is work smarter rather than harder.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's something there about also recognizing that there's value in stepping back and taking time out away from the business. It's something I realized when I set up my business, was actually having worked in corporate for 25 years, and you're on a kind of continual treadmill that you don't really stop to think. The most time you'll probably have off, if you're lucky, certainly in Europe. Well, we've got a French guy here, so Bertrand will take August off.
The numbers are skewed.
Bertrand will take August off. Adam and I might have a couple of weeks. You in North America might be lucky if you have a week or two away. So, you don't get that opportunity really to step away from the business. And I think there's also something about, I come back to what Daniel Pink wrote in his book Drive about kind of intrinsic motivation,
yep,
where he talks about autonomy, mastery, and purpose, and having that ability really to kind of take that step back. And also, as you were saying, do the things that you like doing, give people the opportunity that they can do that. And then, hopefully with that, free them from some of these kind of more mundane tasks, which actually, when you start to dive in, as I'm sure you do with your work, you see that there is very little added value in them.
And on that front, Tracy, do you see any difference in behaviors across generations? Because this is kind of this, I would say almost assumption that the new generation will have much more, at least are in a different mindset. Do you see that? Or not at all? Or it just doesn't play in the
yes and no. I think that the hustle culture is just still so strong in everything that we do. And I think that the younger generations, right, coming up, there's a change happening, right? That there is a change. I still see I think it depends on the person and what you choose, because I see both sides on, kind of the older generations, current, younger, right? Like everything that I do see, I call it bro marketing, right? Like that, we've got that culture of, come buy my program and you can make, 10x your sales in the next 24 hours, right? And they've got that hustle, hype thing going on. And I think that that's extremely prevalent in the younger culture. But we're also seeing that, they're kind of, they're downsizing, right? And you see tiny homes coming around and, all of these things where people they actually want to live their lives. And I think that that's, for me, I don't actually believe in work-life balance. I don't think that especially when you're a business owner, it's just not possible. And I think, though, that we can make it ebb and flow, right? And sometimes it's business, sometimes it's my family and my kids, and it ebbs and flows as we go through life. And I think that for me at least, having the flexibility to do that makes all the difference.
Tracy, when you talked about the hustle culture, it reminded me, I speak with a lot of small businesses, small business owners, and solopreneurs. And I like to joke with them. There's only 28 hours in a day, and we're working all of them.
Right.
I actually read an article about a month ago saying that feeling too busy can damage your brain. And that gave me pause. I mean, yes, I'm joking when I say I'm 28 hours in a day and I'm working all of them, but my mindset is, oh, I actually feel like that at times. So conversely, what can you tell me about the common myths about delegation?
What I see a lot with my clients is that it's easier just to do it myself.
Yeah.
I'll at least get it done right or get it done on time. It's so if you do delegate, they never do it correctly. And there's a loss of control, I think, with a lot of business owners, is that the control aspect of they need to make sure that everything's happening. And if they're not, like, if they don't have their fingers into everything and on the pulse of everything, that it's all going to fall apart. So I get that a lot.
So,
and I feel like, to me, that just feels like a systems thing, right? And I think everybody knows logically that a business can't scale if one person has to touch everything, right? And even if that person is the founder, at some point you have to be able to delegate these things. And I experienced much of that, just what you shared, Tracy, when I had my first management role, was that like, oh man. But then I also think there's an interesting thing here that people might be learning about themselves, depending on how much like self-awareness that they have, is that I'm more of a doer than a like teacher, right? I'm more of a like I like to have my hands in things. And so I feel like from that perspective, if those are the things that you like, it's much harder to just let it go. Whereas for me, I was like, oh, like, I love the whole like mentor teacher role. So like, it was actually easier for me to delegate than it might be for some other people, because I can embrace what I like about the activity of delegation instead of feeling like I lose the part I like about it. So I think there's also kind of a personal, I don't know if it's like character or just like what you value from the work that you do, that has a lot of impact on someone's, how easy it is for them to delegate.
Agree completely. And I think that your self-awareness is not necessarily common. Right. And just meaning that like a lot of times they get so in the middle of the craziness that it's almost like they can't find their way out of the craziness in order to help themselves and everyone else. But you're absolutely right. It's a systems issue, right? Like I delegate to my team every single day, and I have a pulse on exactly what is happening at any given time with any given person, because I have a very simple system set up that allows me to make sure that everything is getting done exactly as it should, right? And so it's just, there are simple ways to do that, but and what I find a lot is that business owners are a lot of times visionaries. So they're not the task oriented people. They're the big picture, the connectors, I'm a total introvert. I like being behind the scenes. I'm the one that gets the stuff done, right? I have a list of tasks. I am happiest when you leave me alone and I just go get them done as like quickly and efficiently and, make it all happen. And I think that it's not a skill set. It's a learned skill set, right? I've been doing this for 25 years. I've studied it. I've experienced on what works and what doesn't. And if you haven't done that, then it is what it is. But it's also so important to learn and figure out or get help to do that.
T-Dog, when you were talking about your first management role, I immediately drew a parallel to what we say about the difference between sales and sales leadership. The biggest transition in anyone's career is that from the frontline operator, the individual contributor, to that of leading other people. And the light bulb went on when I said, well, that's the same in business ownership. In order to scale my business, I'm going to need to bring in others and maybe give over some of the reins. So Tracy, what I want to ask you is, what are some effective strategies that business leaders can use to stay engaged while also stepping back from some of those day-to-day operations?
Any of you use a work management tool?
What do you mean by a work management tool?
To manage your teams. Do you have, like, for example, I use and love no affiliation whatsoever, but Monday.com.
I use Asana.
Yeah. So it's a tool to help to manage the workload of your team and what's coming in to actually delegate that. Anybody?
You can tell from the look on our faces that, with the exception of Tracy, we're all going, what the hell is she talking about?
As a one-person operation, I just find the Eisenhower matrix written down every day, every week. That's my kind of work management.
That works for you.
So
yep, and if that works, right? Yeah. And so number one, we have so many tech tools available to us that can help us to organize everything. One of the things that I use that is like my secret weapon of delegation is, so I use a work management tool. It's Monday.com. The reason I use it, I've used probably every tool, every project management tool that you could imagine over the years of my career, right? The teams never use it. They hate it. They don't want in it. They don't want anything to do with it. Monday is pretty. It's fun. You get like a little, every time you complete a task, you get a little, burst, fireworks, whatever. And it's just satisfying. And so the teams use it, which is so massive. And so literally all of our work, all of our communication, everything is confined to one place. So number one, that's crazy efficiency, because you can look at any task and see exactly what everybody is doing at any given time in one spot. You're not looking for where all the documents are, where the comments are, where everything is. So that's number one. Number two, I use a tool called loom.com. Familiar? It's a screen sharing software. But what I do, let's say that I need to get a blog post out, right? I don't take any extra time to train my team. But what I'll do is the next time I'm doing the blog post exactly how I want it, I will record myself doing that blog post. And I will record, I want you to click this button. Here's why I want you to do this. I'm explaining myself as I go through doing the blog post for that week. I go through, I will create a video of exactly what buttons I want you to push, exactly what I want you to write, exactly what I want you to click through, how I want you to schedule it. Here's where the image goes. Here's where the video link goes. All of those things. I record it, and then I take the link to that video, and I will create within my Monday board, I will create an automated task that says do the blog post every week. And I will put that how-to video with that task. So every time that task is assigned, there is a how-to video on exactly how I want it done right there in the task. So it doesn't matter if somebody's out sick and somebody needs to jump in and take over. I have the how-to already included. And I do that over and over and over again with every single delegation that I do. So over time, I don't even half the time need to train new people that come in if someone leaves, because I've already done the training. And so they can already watch the video and know exactly how I want it done. So that's one efficiency tool that I use consistently, and it's worked wonders.
One of the things I'll just add from an Asana perspective that I found so helpful from the workforce management side of it is that because you can see the tasks that are associated with other people, and if you were kind of the originator of the task, or you very minimally have some kind of idea of how long that's going to take, and you can see what they have in their day, or you can see what they have in their week, and be like, I'm not sure all of this is possible in this amount of time, right? And just being able to proactively have those conversations and help. Can we assign this task that someone else can do to someone else because their workload is lighter? I found that was really helpful from a management perspective to be able to like help the team keep stuff moving instead of one person being a roadblock on an ongoing basis.
Exactly.
I heard you allude to automation. What role does automation play in business operations?
It's my happy place. Like we have so many cool tools now that allow us to create efficiencies. I'm all about, we talked earlier, like about, customer support or bottlenecks or, whatever's happening. My whole goal is just to get out ahead of it so that it goes away and we never have an issue again. And so automations help us do that. So like, for example, the blog post, I can schedule and automate the blog post task to start like 2 weeks in advance on when it's actually needed. If that's the time that it's needed to get it written and to get a graphic done or a video done or, whatever that may be. And so you can actually start things and get out ahead of them so that it to me, it feels like magic, right? Because you're just doing little baby step things. And Will, I think you were talking about Daniel Pink's book, right? Drive. And they talk about autonomy and being it like with my team, I don't have them, as long as the work gets done, I don't care when they work. Right. But the cool thing about that is that when you get out ahead and you use automations and things, you can actually get out ahead and you can plan out, okay, so for a blog post, we're going to need copy written. We're going to have the copy reviewed. We're going to need a graphic. We're going to have that graphic reviewed. We need a video added. I need to create the video and then we need to get it edited. And then, right, whatever the tasks may be, I can automate those so that they just pop up on my to-do for the day, but it's small bite-sized chunks that my team can do it when they feel like it. Like sometimes what happens is if we don't automate things or we don't get out ahead of things, like all of a sudden it's like a blog post is due tomorrow. And so we need to get copy written. We need to get a graphic done. We need to get a video done. And who knows what's going on with your day, your mood, maybe I'm not in the mood to create a video today. And so, but you got to get it done. So you just do it and it's subpar when it comes out. But by automating things and kind of coming up with that system, coming up with that process, that structure, getting out ahead of it and automating the baby steps that are needed with plenty of time to do it, I now allow both myself and my team to do it when we feel like doing it. Right. And by doing that, we get better work that comes out. It happens by magic. It gets better results. It feels good. It's kind of easy by that point, and it's not such a struggle for the entire team. And so I think just automating, it's the more that you can do that in a strategic way, the better it is, right? A lot of times too, we're talking just time freedom, but I know that when I finish my task list for the day, I'm done. So if I finish that by noon, I'm done with the knowledge, like I step away from my computer with the knowledge that everything is 100% on track. I know where everything is. I've done everything that needs to be done for today. And tomorrow I'll come back and I'll have another list of automated tasks that need to be done. I'll get those done and then I'm done. But I have that peace of mind that everything is on track 100% with no issues at all.
Are there risks of over automating?
Yeah.
What do you do to mitigate that?
Depends on the situation. For me, I think it's automation with either you need to have a controller, right? Or a project manager or someone like T-Dog was saying, she has a pulse on what's happening within her organization. For the most part, she's assigned things. She knows what is needed to be done. She knows if things need to be moved over, switched around, working with the clients, right? Like it's kind of a person that has kind of a foot in both worlds, right? With the client work, the services work, the customer piece of it, as well as the team piece of it, to be able to just make sure that everything is moving along consistently. And I think that it's essential to have that, but it depends on the organization. You usually have to start small, what I find, right? Especially if a lot of times we're in our, we've created such unhealthy habits sometimes in the how we do work, that it takes a minute to unravel that. And so we usually start small with the automations and kind of build them, as we go.
I'm also curious because I'm sure, when you unpack delegation and you talk about it, I mean, it all sounds very logical. It sounds practical. We can all see the benefits of it. And yet there are some people who just don't take to it. So, when you're in this situation, you've explained something to a business owner and they've nodded their heads and said, yeah, I'm going to do it. And then 2 weeks later, they're still kind of clinging on to everything. What are the other steps that you kind of go through, apart from the kind of small steps, to help them to start to create these new habits that you were talking about?
There is always resistance from business owners, always. And I think that it is, I do know that they're not going to let go until they're ready to let go. Like it just is what it is. And I gently kind of, I kind of poke, right? Like, you could give that away, you could give that away. You could give that away anytime you want, right? And just, we kind of laugh about it. I kind of make it a joke because sometimes, right, like the claws are just dug in and this is what they want to do. There's a great book by Dan Martell that just came out, Buy Back Your Time. And what he recommends, which I think is just so brilliant, and I've experienced it as well, it helps so much, is you start with the admin tasks, right? Start on the things that they don't really care about, or that you don't care about necessarily, right? Like the little things that they can do that you can take off your plate. Maybe it's just 5 minutes. 5 minutes is 5 minutes saved. Let's create a video or show someone how to do those 5 minutes, right? And build up from that. But you can do there are things that you don't necessarily care about, or that are easy enough for you to check on and say, yeah, that was done well, or give some feedback, but it's okay. It's not going to get crazy. So start with your admin, then go into deliverability of your products or services. And then from there, Dan, and I just think that his kind of level is brilliant. So then you would go to the marketing, and then go to the sales, and then go to the leadership, right? And by the time you give leadership up, it's basically a self-managed, team-managed business at that point, right? But you just kind of work the way up, and it's a comfort level, right? And the stakes kind of get higher as you go. One thing that saves a huge amount of time that people always kind of balk at the beginning, and I gently nudge or gently push on going, is giving away your email inbox. And actually have someone manage that for you. For me, it saves probably 2.5, 3 hours a day of, going through emails and requests and, client information and CCs and, all of those things. And it's just freedom, and but doing that over and over and over again.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, the giving away, as you were talking, I was kind of imagining myself doing these things, and I've opened a series of tabs across the top of my browser with all of these different products that you've spoken about on them. And the idea of passing away, delegating control of some of those things is, I hate admin. Everybody hates, well, not everyone, but lots of people hate admin. So I absolutely get that. But there's some stuff, isn't there, that's mission critical. And surely there is some stuff that you can't delegate. You as the leader, you as the person that has had the initial vision, you as the person that's running things, whatever your role is, you are better placed than anybody to be able to determine whether or not this email that I've just had from some William Shorten bloke in London is something that I should be reading, or something that I should be sticking straight in the trash. And actually, sometimes only you can identify that.
I think it's interesting because I've never had someone manage my own email. So like Adam, for me, I feel like that's true. Like I want to be the one to do that, but I can do that because I get rid of other tasks that I don't feel like are mission critical to me. So I do think to some degree it's based on what you feel is mission critical to you. I've had like coaches in my experience that are like, you have to outsource your social media. And I was like, but I love my social media. Like, it's fun for me. I meet people that way. It feels productive, right? I don't spend too much time on it, right? Like, I have a way to do that works for me. So that doesn't make sense for me to outsource. I know people who love being like in their numbers on the day-to-day basis and like knowing all the like ins and outs of the cash flow. And like, I hate that. It was like the number one thing I outsourced because I want someone who cares about this to care about it, because I mean, I care about my business making money, but I don't care about the things. I don't want to move money around between markets to see what we can, like, I will never care about that. So I think it's also interesting to look at like, how do you build out this team so that it is complementary to you, instead of saying there's like this one set of tasks that everybody should outsource and just like go and do that. If you've outsourced enough that you have time to manage your email the way you want to manage your email, then you've done what you need to do. I'm sure Tracy has some more thoughts on that, but that was just something that came up for me.
I agree completely, right? It's custom to you. So there are things that only you can do, right? And you can decide what those are. There are also things that you're probably doing that you don't actually need to be doing, or you don't even want to be doing them, right? And you're still doing them. And so freeing up your time to do the things that only you can do, that will grow your business, that will move your business forward, there are absolutely things that only you can do and only you should do at this point, right? But letting go of those other things. Maybe it's the email inbox, maybe it's not. There's also ways, if it is the inbox, there are ways to manage that so that if that critical email comes in, they either know to contact you or they leave it so that you can decide where that should go and what should be done with that, right? So there's it's the ebb and flow. It's the customization of your business and your life and how you want to do that. But actually, for me, I think a lot of times business owners think like, someday I'm going to get there. And once I get there, it's going to be amazing. And I'm going to have all this free time and everything's going to work well. And I'm only going to be doing things that I want to be doing that are moving the needle and, all of these things. And it doesn't work that way, right? We build that in, and we can start today to actually build that into our businesses and build the lives and businesses that we want. But we have to choose to do that, right? We have to choose to make the difference. We kind of have to choose to change our mindset and choose to maybe give up some control. I totally laugh. I tell my husband, I'm like, I'm literally the most low maintenance person you've ever met, right? And he laughs because I'm the highest maintenance person ever, but he just lets me do what I want to do. And so we're all good on low maintenance, right? And it's the same thing within my business, is that this is how I want it done. And so I set everything up to make it really easy, to make it successful in the way that I want it to be successful. And my team, I find a team that aligns with that for me. And, we've got autonomy where, all of the things that go into that, that's what works for me. That may not work for every other person. So then go figure out what works for you and implement that and do that and create that.
I'd just like to bring an elephant into the room, which is, one of the issues that can be a challenge with delegating is the T word around trust. That, some people may, I've got this great system, but I'm not quite sure about the quality of the people around me. So how, when you go into kind of businesses, is that something, that's perhaps a bias that I've got, but is that something you see? And if it is, how do you handle those kind of situations?
You always want to ask yourself, do I have the right people in the right seats doing the right things at the right time, right? So sometimes the answer is yes, they just need some training and some learning. And sometimes it's no, and we need to shift. things around a little bit, right? So number one is looking at that. Number two, if you do think you have the right people in the right seats doing the right things at the right time, it's about the training. Like if we went back to our blog post, when I assign that blog post with the video to someone new, what I'll do is I will have them, after they finish, they have to tag me so that I can go see what they've done. And so I go through and I will then create another video with feedback of, while I'm fixing it, I'm saying, and this needs to be fixed, and this needs to be fixed, and this needs to be fixed. Great job otherwise, right? Then I do that 3 or 4 times, right? 3 or 4 weeks in a row. It takes me 2 to 3 minutes to go through what I need done. But I get to the point where there are no more changes that need to be made because I've given the feedback enough times that they've got it how I want them to get it, right? And so that's how I manage the teams, or how I train the teams a lot, and how I want it done. But I'm also, when I'm giving the feedback, I'm explaining why I want it this way, right? I want it this way because the audience will, it will bring X audience, or, I need to connect this social media platform so that we get more viewers over here, or whatever that is. So I'm explaining the why behind it, which just makes them smarter in the future for what I need them to be doing for my group, my organization, for what I need. Right. So, but it is a trust thing. And I say I'm trusting, and I'm not, because again, I like it the way I like it. Right. So, but I work with them to get it to the point where I like it, and that I trust that they're going to execute on my vision and what I need, done for my people.
Thanks for your honesty.
Trust can be a two-way street, though. What are some common resistance points from staff when implementing new systems, and what do you do to allay the fears and get them to trust the process?
Well, change is hard for everybody.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's almost always resistance. There's two things. Change is hard for everybody. Like it just is what it is. And a lot of times what I see is that the business owner has caused such a like it's so hard for them to do the team to do their jobs because of the bottlenecks and the fire drills and the inefficiencies, that I think that they welcome whatever can come, like let's do it, right? So I get both of those. But with the inefficiencies, usually with the change, it doesn't take long, in all honesty, because you change 2 or 3 things and you make it easier, and they're like, oh, right? Like it's so amazing, and they're so excited that, oh my gosh, that was so easy to get done. And they can, for the most part, I think people are just wanting to do a good job, right? Like everybody wants to. But so my whole thing is, I'm not a nagger. Right. I've been a project manager forever. I have worked with teams in getting stuff done, due dates. I never have an issue with missed due dates, ever. Like everybody gets me what I want when I want it. But the thing that I do is I make sure that they have what they need in order to do their job successfully. Right. And so that's getting out ahead of it. So by the time the copywriter goes to, write the copy for that blog, they have the outline already set up. They have the keywords for the SEO already set up. They have everything that they need so that they can just sit down and do their job the way that they need it done. And so the teams, as you start to do that and as you start to implement that, and again, you can start small. It doesn't mean you need to change the whole organization overnight and say, okay, here it is, go do it. It's customizing it. And so it's taking small things, small bottlenecks, small problems, small issues, cleaning those up, and you just keep stacking on top, so that it's like you create like foundation after foundation after foundation, and it just keeps going up to where it smooths everything out. So it doesn't take long for the teams to see the shifts and see the efficiencies and see how easy it makes their lives and how much happier they are. And so the change kind of goes away. I think, in all honesty, it's the business owner that has the harder time changing than the teams do.
Tracy, this has been great. Where can people learn more? How can they get in touch with you?
You can go to my website, goldi.com, and it's all about goals. So it's GOALDI. And I've got all kinds of resources for you. I've got an assessment, right, to see, what opportunities there are. So I call it business alignment, right? We're aligning your business. We're smoothing everything out. We're aligning everything, making everything flow for you. So I actually have an alignment assessment for you if you'd like to take that.
Excellent. Thank you. If you have something to say, we want to hear from you. Scan the QR code on screen or visit us at digitaldownload.live and fill out the Be Our Guest application form. Tracy, on behalf of myself, the panelists, and to the very interactive audience as well, thank you for a fantastic episode. And to our audience, we will see you again next time. Thank you all.